Okay, so I wanted to go over, today we're going to talk about bear hunting, bear tactics, bear scents, stuff that I use that I like. All these products I get from Batum 907, which I'll cross-reference that back to the video, give you guys links, how to get a hold of Jess if you need to. A little bit about Jess, her background. She, owner-operator, she makes all this stuff from scratch. She lives up in Alaska, so she's very familiar with baiting black bears, grizzlies, all kinds of different bears. And she also runs trap lines. So she knows her shit. She's very knowledgeable. Anytime you have a question, I've had multiples every year. I still have bears that I have issues with that I'll call her and say, hey, give me ideas, anything else I can try. She's always willing to help, and she never makes you feel like you're putting her out. Another great thing she offers is anything over $50 is free shipping. So that adds up pretty quick if you're ordering, 3 or 4 different bait balls and a bunch of different cover scents. It can add up quick with weight. So free shipping for anything over $50, you can't beat it. So from left to right, anything in the red cap that you get is a burn. And so when you order burns, that's how they come labeled. It's a red cap, cover scents, or attractant sprays are in the black. And so these work great, these burn scents, if you're starting a new bait, maybe you want to change up a bear's daily routine. You want to try to get him to come in before dark rather than if he's only coming in after dark. A burn's a good idea. It also will cover your scent, way farther than whatever you have locally at your bait. It'll go 5 times farther than anything else if you've got a good backwind, and it's a great way to bring new bears into your area. These are attractant sprays, but I more or less use them for cover sprays. I always have a bottle of this on me anytime I go in and out of the bait, and anything that I've touched or walked by, footprints, I always try to cover my scent back up with this. And that's a liquid, but if you want to go with a more powder version, this Bruins Blunt works great too. This is a Nasty Boar, and it's not so bad in the powder, but the Nasty Boar scent, which I'll go over a little more in detail on the tars and the smears, you got to wear gloves. If you don't, use a stick, but if you get it on you, it absolutely reeks. You can't get it off, and it makes for a long night of sitting at the bait if you've got this stuff on your hands. Moving left to right here, these are just, this is called Sweet Surrender, and all this stuff comes in like 10 or 15 different scent options you can get from Jess. And I'm not going to go over all of them here. I'll reference a lot of them back to the video. But this stuff's great when you're just starting to bait. You want to throw it in your grain, dog food, popcorn, whatever you want to use. It just gives it all a sweeter smell. I don't use, this stuff every time I bait because it can get expensive fast and it doesn't last long, especially if you've got a lot of bears coming into your bait. So anytime I start a bait or I want to spruce up a bait, I'll throw some of this in. I don't use popcorn or dog food much anymore. I still use a little bit of dog food, but the problem with those is the kernels in the dog food are, big chunks like this, and the bears can just grab, tons of it at a time. So they can just go through a whole thing of it in a sitting. Popcorn doesn't have any nutrients or any protein. It's not gonna fill them up. They're just gonna keep eating it and eating it and eating it. And so it's lightweight, it's easy to pack, but it takes a long time to make popcorn if you're building, a lot of it, and they can go through everything you've made in 2 days in an hour. So, it's kind of hard to reference that far back, but if you can see this bear's paw, when they go to grab, their claws open up, and whatever they can get in their claws or their paw is all they can grab. And so popcorn, dog food, pastries, any meat, anything they can grab that's that big, they can get big chunks of. They're not there as long, they get full faster, and then they leave. Plus that stuff takes up half your barrel if you're using a lot of it. Grain, pellets, master bait pellets, which I'll reference, I use those. Either of those work great because they're small. They'll filter through their claws as they're grabbing. They can only grab limited quantities. It keeps them there longer, and then they get fuller, just as fast as dog food or whatever. And then you have more left at the bait, so a bait might last you another day or 2 longer than dog food or popcorn will. So less is more for me with baiting, running multiple baits in different states. Whatever I can do to save money and save weight packing the stuff is where it's at for me. And so moving left to right, after the Sweet Surrender, she offers these yo-yos, and these are like suckers for bears. If they get a hold of them, they'll just devour them. They don't last long, but they put out great scent at the bait once they come into the bait. And I'll normally hang these on my bait ball over a cable wire somewhere in my bait. I try to set them off to the side so they're not in my shooting lanes. You don't want to ever base off where you're going to shoot on where the bear is at, if he's sniffing around where you got your bait balls at. The problem is you hang these up so high so they can't get to them, so they're trying to stand up and grab it, and they're swatting at it and they're moving, so you're not going to have a very good shot opportunity if you base where you hang that up to get a shot. The trick is in moving to this bait ball, the trick is getting bears to your bait. They'll eat anything you want. I mean, anything you put out, they'll eat. They're not picky eaters, but having a scent 21 times stronger than a human, scent is the key to getting bears. Once you draw them in, which referencing this bait ball, these things run $48 to $62. I think they come in 6-pound balls like this, so they're not too bad to pack, and they'll last you your entire season. I've had these on sites for 2 months, and then went back to clean up my bait after season, and they're still hanging there. The trick is to not cut the whole bag off. You want to keep the bag on so it's protecting this. In spring, you'll get snow and rain a lot of times, and you don't want that to get on here. It'll just devour it, and it'll just end up dripping off, and then the whole thing will be gone. So just cut the bottom off, and just let this top sit on here, and then when it gets warm during the day, the precipitation will get in here, just kind of like it is now being in the house, and this will just drip off. And that's 24-hour scent you have. So even if your bait runs out, you still got the bait ball to keep bears honest and keep them coming back and checking your bait. So in areas that I might only be able to get to every weekend, I've got to work all week, I'll go back and check it on Friday. I hang a bait ball at every one of those sites. So I've got scent at my bait 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter if I can get there or not. I keep them honest, and they keep coming back to check to see if there's more food in the barrel. She offers this stuff that you can mix in 5-gallon buckets of grease. I don't use grease, it's a mess, and it's heavy to pack. All my baits I have to pack into, so I'm not into packing bait. So less is more again. That's a death moan scent, which works pretty good. And then she also offers, a couple different options as far as like urine to simulate a sow in heat, depending on which time of year you're hunting. If you've got a bear coming in that time of year, but you really don't have any sows around, maybe you want to simulate a sow in the area, that stuff works great. And so I saved these last two things other than the bait ball for last. So out of all these products, my favorite two things is the bait ball, the paste, and the smear. Reason being is you have 24-hour scent here, they'll last your entire season for $50. The smear and the paste, actually this is a tar. It's not so much this is the smear, but the tar, you don't need to use a whole can. I'll use, a quarter of it just to get out on branches that I put in the barrel or wherever I'm staging my crib at. I want this to get on the bear because when they leave, they take that scent with them, and wherever they go to, they're leaving that scent and they're trekking it all over the country. So other bears are going to smell that. They're going to, track them out to see where they come, and then lead you right to your bait. So the tars work great. The smear paste is probably one of my favorite. This thing, for only being a 4-ounce bottle, you can get it in a 6-ounce if you reference that in your notes when you're ordering. Tell her you want the 6-ounce. In the Nasty Boar scent, the 6-ounce can of this is deadly. It's 100% waterproof, which I like because in the spring, some of these places I bait 9,800 feet, I still get 2 foot of snow last week in May. So anything, there's nothing worse than putting out a bait. You've spent all this time packing a bait. You've got it all stage dried. Everything looks great. You've got all your covers out. You've got all your blended mixes in your grain, and then it snows or rains. There goes your whole bait other than, this that you have covered and anything that's 100% waterproof. So for me, getting a bear to bait with my scent, they'll eat anything you put out. So again, scent is getting them there fresh out of the den. Their scent's on high alert. Bring them in with the bait ball. I always put the smear and the tars all over the logs. I'll put the smear, there's not much here, so you can't use a lot of it, but I'll put the smear at like eye level on my barrel, and a good place to where the bear comes in, he'll kind of position himself, hopefully to where I have a good shot opportunity. And this will also give you a 3 to 5 second window when they're smelling it to give you a good shot. I haven't put out my Hollywood video yet, but I'll reference it in this. As you see him come into the bait, he comes in under the bait ball, which you can't see because it's above the video. But he comes in, he's kind of looking around, he knows that scent's there. He realizes he's not going to be able to get to this bait ball. So next thing he sees is the barrel. So he heads to the barrel, he finds the smear paste. He starts looking at that, he starts licking it. At that point, there's my good shot opportunity. I took it and I was able to harvest, a once in a lifetime blonde bear. That was all from these products. These 2 products right here killed that bear for me. The smear paste and the bait ball. Those 3 things are what works best for me. When I start a bait, I don't use popcorn, or I use a little bit of dog food, but not much. I like stuff that's smaller, that they can't get large quantities when they grab. If you notice a bear's paw, when he goes to grab, it's like a cat. Their claws come out and they spread their fingers. So what all they can get in between here and their paws is all they can grab out of the barrel. Popcorn, bigger items, pastries, they can get lots of, they can get fuller faster, and then they'll leave. You don't want a bear to just come in, eat for 5 minutes and leave. You want him to come in, hang out, mill around for 10, 15 minutes, hopefully longer, depending on, whether you're there or not. Grain and pellets, which I use Master Bait pellets. I'll reference their Instagram on this also, but their pellets and any kind of grain work the best because they can't grab a lot of it. It's just going to filter through their claws and their paw, and the only thing they can grab is right here. So it's going to keep them at your bait longer. It's going to sustain your bait, your food source longer, because they can only get so much at every sitting. They'll get fuller faster because it has protein and nutrients in it compared to like popcorn. They're never going to get full on popcorn, and they're never going to get, it doesn't do anything for them. They want something just like humans. It's got protein, it's got nutrients, it makes them feel good, right? And so that's why I use grain. I use the Master Bait pellets. Master Bait pellets is just a combination of different candies, all kinds of different stuff, sweets that they like. So you're basically taking a donut that you have to pack in, and you're just condensing it into a little pellet. Day and night difference, way easier to pack compared to grease or popcorn, bags of popcorn. I used to spend days on end making popcorn, and then the bear would eat it in one night. So it didn't serve me any purpose. So the key for me is, a lot of these areas, I don't have weeks on end to try to get bears on bait. I need bears on bait within 24 hours for me to have a good opportunity at a trophy class bear. And so that's why I use the bait balls. The scent is the number 1 key to killing a good bear, is getting your scent right, get him to come in, get him to bait, get him to stay to bait. When I go to Idaho, I only have a week at a time to hunt most of the time. So I need bears on bait within the first day or 2 that I'm there. That gives me another 3-5 days to hunt. When I hunt Wyoming, I can hunt it on the weekends after work. And so I'll spruce it up like on a Wednesday and then go back up on Friday and sit it. I'll do the pace the Friday night that I sit. Another good tactic to use, that I always try to bait at the same time. Bears like routine, especially bigger bears. They don't really have a plan. They just kind of go with whatever they're feeling for the day. But if they're coming in at a certain time of hour, they're more or less going to kind of continue that, other than if something messes up their routine. If you're going in at 8 in the morning and baiting, but they're coming in at 7 and eating, I always try to bait when I know the bears are not going to be in. You might catch littler bears there throughout the day. I'm not worried about those. They can run off. What I don't want is I don't want to run off my big 400-pound color phase bear. He's probably not going to be there at 11 o'clock noon. So I always try to bait at the same time, and I always try to stick with the same things that's worked for me. So with that, it kind of sums up all the products. She does offer some starter packs, depending on if you wanted to, order larger quantities or smaller quantities. She offers those. I'll reference those in my videos. If I can recommend anything, it would be get a bait ball, some cover scent, and some tars. That's all you really need. Once you get them to the bait, they'll eat whatever you put out. You can put out 100 bags of this, you can put out half a bag. It's not going to matter. It's not going to change up what bears you bring in, how long they stay. At least in my experience. I've only been doing this for like 5 years, so I'm by no means a professional, but I've had some pretty good luck using what I'm showing you, and you know, I've killed some pretty good, you know, trophy bears with it. You know, you can spend as much as you want or as little as you want and basically have the same outcome depending on how you use it and where you use it. I like Minnesota Mellow and the Annies out west for any of the baits I put in. I know some of like the Frostbites, Minnesota Mellows, you know, all those work back east. They work all over the country, up into Alaska. And, you know, Jess is very knowledgeable on this stuff. She runs her own bait. She has her own trap lines. So she baits herself and can help answer any questions that maybe I didn't go over. And so other than that, I mean, I'll reference the quantities and the sizes and stuff that you can get on a lot of this stuff in the video without going through too much detail. But other than that, if you guys have any other questions, just go ahead and shoot me a message. And if not, I hope this stuff works for you. And if it does, tag me in your harvest pictures.